Hello friends and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now last episode we got a lot of things done. We completed 2 whole quest lines, including the extended crafting quest line, which gave us these weird machines you see behind me that we haven't actually used yet, and I literally have no idea what they're for. We also got some essence ore crafting done with these new essence machines that you see over on the other side here, which allowed us to make our very first Nether star, which we immediately turned into a beacon, and that we immediately turned into tier 10 frames, which we haven't used yet. But that's a very expensive recipe for frames, I have to admit. So today we are going to make another little divergence from the main path. We are going to set up some more advanced storage. This has been a very big bottleneck for us, so we're going to pick one of the 2 options in this pack to do more advanced storage. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So, as I mentioned, this pack has 2 different advanced storage options in here. 3, technically, if you include the QIO from Mechanism, but the 2 that everybody is probably more familiar with are the Applied Energistics 2 mod and the Refined Storage mod. So we have both of those to choose from. Now, last time I have been playing with some advanced storage like this, I did choose Applied Energistics 2. This is a little annoying because it has all of those presses that you have to do to make the different circuits and all of that sort of stuff. I don't love it, but refined storage is supposed to be a simpler version of that, and I've only played with this a little, so I know that it's not as flexible, I think, in some ways, but I want to try it out anyway because I haven't spent a lot of time with it in many years. So we're going to unlock this one today. So to that end, we need to make our refined storage research papers, and we do not have those added to our shopping list, so let's go ahead and add those real quick. Now, we are going to need to come over here, and I've made a bunch more of our various ingots. We have a bunch more elite techium and a bunch of ultimate techium, so we don't need to worry about making that. So for our research papers, we do need to go ahead and make ourselves 4 blocks of diamond. We're going to do that real quick. We are going to grab up another one of our research papers, and then I think we have everything that we need to make that book. We do. Excellent. So let's go ahead and submit this. We are going to submit our tech bucks, which I made a bunch of tech bucks out of the tier 1 techium and just turned those in between episodes. And there is our processor binding that we need to buy as well. I'm hoping that we don't have to keep repeating that quest, but we may need to. Now, the other big thing that unlocking either of these quests does in this pack is it unlocks quartz. We have not had any way of getting quartz heretofore, and that has been a real pain. So let's go ahead and submit our tech bucks to get our nether quartz as well. And we are going to go ahead and see if we can set up a miner for that. We can. It only requires a tier 7 frame. So let's go ahead and make a few more tier 7 frames, and we are going to set that up as well. All right, so there is our nether quartz miner set up. I did not go ahead and do this on camera because you all have seen me do this approximately 39 times now, I think, with all of these other miners. So watch any of the previous episodes to know how these miners get set up and worked. But I think for those of you who have been watching this whole series, that's probably real boring right now. Now let's see what we actually need to do to get this nether quartz into regular quartz crystals. It looks like the crusher will let us do it. Oh, and that gives us 3 nether quartz and sulfur. I know we're going to need sulfur in the future. The enrichment chamber, however, gives us 1 to 6, which is a pretty great recipe. Pulverizer 2 to 1, and induction smelter 1 to 1, with a 50% chance of sulfur. So that's going to be our highest sulfur ratio. But I think what we will do for now, let's go ahead and do the enrichment chamber. All right, we picked up 192 nether quartz off of just those 32 pieces of quartz. That is a pretty good haul. I will certainly take that. So let's pull these things off of our list of things to make, and we'll just go ahead and grab and pull all of that stuff off too. So let's get started with this mod. Let's see what we need to do to just get ourselves our basics. Let's start with some storage here, and then we are going to maybe make ourselves a couple of cables that we're going to need, and we are going to make ourselves a controller. I think the controller is probably the first thing on this list here. Oh, this requires silicon. What do we need to make silicon? An unfamiliar item. Wait, what? That can't be right. What are we missing here? Silicon accepts any forged silicon. And I think that's the applied energistics stuff that we're getting out of there. Oh, good, 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 good. There is still the nether quartz recipe that we can just smelt. And I think that we can do that in any of our smelters. Okay, good. I was getting real worried for a second there. So let's go ahead, pick up a stack of nether quartz, and we will smelt this into our silicon real quick. All right, and there is a full stack of silicon ready to go. Let's go ahead and add these to our shopping list. I think that's really the thing that we need to do. And let's see here, where's our cables? We need the cables, and I thought that we had a disk drive. Is there not a drive? Yeah, there is. Disk drive, that's what we want, not the disk manipulator. And then we need the actual disks as well. You can just use the storage blocks, but I don't really care. I'm going to go ahead and make some, whatever the highest tier storage that I can make is here. So let's go ahead and add a storage disk to that. Okay, so I think these are most of the things that we need to move ahead. So let's make ourselves a advanced processor. First of all, we're going to go ahead and get that smelting real quick. Throw that in there. And while that's going, let's go ahead and make ourselves some cables. I think, oh yeah, I can make these with regular glass, but I do need those special iron, quartz enriched iron. It's a good thing we have a lot of quartz. So let's make some of this. What do you say? Let's make a stack. Maybe 2 stacks. I know that this is going to be used a lot. So let's go ahead and grab that. We're going to go ahead and put it here. Let's put it in here. And while we're at it, we can put our silicon in there, and we can put our processing stuff in there. Good. And let's go ahead and make those cables. I don't know how many cables we're going to need, but I'm going to do, let's do 36 for now. Sure, we'll use them. Let's go ahead and see if we can't make our machine casing. I think we have some sort of stone there. Oh, but we got to remove the glass again. Let's try that one more time. Let's make our machine casing. Awesome. And now we should be able to make our controller. Perfect. Okay, so controller is done. Let's make ourselves a crafting grid. That we need another advanced processor. So let's make one more of those. Looks like we use a regular grid for this as well. So that needs, a bunch of things. So we need 2 improved processors. Let's make 2 of those. Perfect. We need to make a construction core, which we make with a basic processor. So let's make 2 basic processors, because I know we're also going to make a destruction core with that. And is there anything else that we need here? I don't think so. We do need to make some patterns. Those aren't going to use anything. And does the disk drive? That also needs an advanced processor. So let's make 1 more of those. Okay, so let's cook all of this down real fast. All right, a bunch of lovely, lovely processors for us to use. Let's go ahead and make ourselves our regular grid first and foremost. That we do need another machine casing. There is our regular grid. Oh, what are we missing for that regular grid? Did I miss something on that list? Oh, of course, we need to turn our cores into the other types of cores. So do we have any glowstone dust? And what does the other one use? Quartz. I know we have glowstone. I don't know if we have glowstone dust laying around. Let me go grab some glowstone. Let's go ahead and take, we'll do just a quarter stack, because that's going to make a full stack of glowstone dust. There we go. And now we can put the extras. Oh, it looks like we already had glowstone here. I forgot about that. Okay, wonderful. Now we can take our glowstone dust. Let's go ahead and clear out all of this. Once we have better storage, we won't have to worry about clearing this out manually anymore. Because it should just magically work for us. So let's make our grid here. Let's do this. There's our construction core. So now we need to make ourselves our destruction core, which is done with quartz. There we go. Now we can make our grid. Perfect. And then our grid, we can use some crafting tables. Do we actually, you know what? I think we have some crafting tables already in here, so I'm not going to make more. Let's go ahead and put that there. Oh, you know what? We used all of our crafting tables in making other items earlier. Okay, no problem. Let's make 1 of those. And now, hopefully, yes, there's our crafting grid. Excellent. Okay, and now onto disk drives. So another of those machine casings. And I think we have everything else. There we go. That is a disk drive. So the last thing left here is to make ourselves some storage. We're going to go and try and make the highest storage that we can. I'm just going to make one. No, let's make 2 storage housings. Start there. Let's see if we can make ourselves a 1K storage part. There we go. How many of these can I make? So it takes 3 to make the next tier of whatever we're making. Let's start here, because this will give us 2 tiers up. Okay, so let's make ourselves up. Let's see here. We're going to need 4 for each of these, so let's make 12, I guess. There we go. 12 basic processors, and those, of course, get smelted in our factory. And there we go. 12 of those done. Let's use those with our 1K storage. And we should, I think, be able to make ourselves up 3 of these 4K storages. There we go, 3 of those. And then the 4K storage, I believe we can then use to make our 16K storage. Just like this. And that means we need 4 improved processors. So let's do 4 of these. Oh, what are we missing? Silicon. Okay. Well, we have almost enough here. Let's go ahead and cook down a bunch of our nether quartz, and while that's going on, we will also smelt our processors here. Once we have one more piece of silicon, we will make another improved processor. Now, let's use this with this, and we should be able to make a 16K storage. Okay, looking good. So that's a lot of storage. Now, do we have the extended storage? Can I go past 64 here? Yeah, we can. We've got extra storage in here, so we can keep upgrading as we go. All right, maybe we should spend a little bit of time doing some grinding to go ahead and get this up to the highest level. The 256K we of course can use to make a 1024K. The 1024K we can of course use to make the 2048. There's the 4096, sorry. And does this have another usage? Can we get to the 16384? Does that have another? No, 16384 is the highest in this pack. Well, why don't I grind for a little while here and see what I can make. Alright, so there we go. We have a 256K storage part at long last. That took me a long while, but we are going to make a 256K storage disk. Now, I do want to continue to upgrade my storage. That's not really a lot considering how many items we have here. This vast array of items. But right now, by having these in individual locked drawers, it does give us back pressure on this system so that we don't have to monitor our overproduction. Although you can see here things are bouncing back. That means we do still have some overproduction, but it's way better than if we just had infinite amounts of everything being made. At some point I'd love to have infinite amounts of everything being made, but we really can't afford it just yet. So instead we're just going to use this for our most frequent crafting materials in a single spot. Now, what to do with this network? I believe we have to connect all of this up to a power source somewhere. So our closest power source is probably off of this line potentially, or off of that line up there. Now, since this is going to be a bolt onto this storage system, I'm inclined to build it off of this power branch. So why don't we shuffle things around just a little bit here? Let's put our disk drive here. Let's put our controller back here. We don't really need to see that. We are going to put our cabling on top like so. And I think the controller is what gets the power, if I remember correctly. So let's grab our universal cables and connect that. There we go. The light is on. That is now getting power. Okay. Crafting grid can go right on top of that. Actually, let's put it literally on top so that we do have to look up a little bit, but it should make it easier overall. Let's do right here. There we go. There is our crafting grid. And I think if we just put our disk in the disk drawer here, yeah, now we just have storage in our network. We do need to start pulling items into the network though, and that's where we start getting into our importers and our exporters. Here we go. These are the 3 ways that you move things into and out of the network. So first off, we can create an interface. I'm going to go ahead and make the interface, even though it's the most manual way to do this. We are going to need to make an importer anyway for that, which means another destruction core. So let's make another destruction core. And we also are going to need to make an exporter, so that means we need a construction core, which we have our glowstone dust. Let's put this glowstone dust somewhere that we can get our hands on it. Let's put it there. And I'm sorry, what were we doing? Exporter, right? So not that. That. Okay, so there we go. There is our construction core. So with those, we can make our importer and we can make our exporter. Perfect. Now with those in hand, we can make our interface. Perfect. And the interface is just a way of dropping items into our network. I'm actually going to put this on back because it doesn't need to be on the front. We can just live with it here. So we dump things in here and it should go into our storage. So let's use a good example here. Let's start taking some of our things that we only use for this mod, the refined storage mod, and we'll put this stuff into the system. So let's grab up our quartz enriched iron. And that's slowly but surely going to be dumping it in here. And you can see it's showing up now in our crafting grid. We'll do the same thing with our processor binding. Again, going over here, putting that there. And all of the other items that we have laying around that we need for this. Just like so. This goes here, and this goes here. Glowstone dust, sure, why not? All of those items are going to go into this system. And then we're going to repeat that with all of our other related items. All of those also will go into the system. All right, so having a thing that you can just store stuff in, that's interesting, but it's not very interesting. What really makes this interesting, where the real power comes from, is being able to craft items. So to that end, we need to make ourselves a couple more construction cores. We need to make ourselves a couple more, where did that go? A couple more destruction cores. So let's do that real quick. There we go. We'll make 2 of those. And then we are going to make ourselves here. Oh, I have some machine casings, I thought, but maybe not. Let's go ahead and make a machine casing or 2. And let's make ourselves 2 crafters real quick. Okay, 1 and 2. Perfect. All right. So a crafter is a machine that you can use with our pattern grid to make items automatically. It's an auto crafting system. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a pattern. Store that. We will make ourselves a grid. I think we have almost everything we need for that. Again, more construction cores. We are going to need more destruction cores. And we are also going to need another machine casing. And soon this is going to get way easier, I promise. Way, way easier. All right, there is our grid. Okay, and now we should be able to make a pattern grid, just like that. Perfect. So our pattern grid, let's set it down right here next to our crafting grid. All right, so we're gonna make ourselves a couple of patterns real quick here. Let's do 4 to start. And now we come over to our pattern grid and we can teach this how to make things. So we can put patterns in here and it'll store them. So first things first, let's teach you how to make quartz enriched iron, right? Like that seems like a thing that we're going to do a lot. So let's create that pattern. And now anything that's a basic crafting and a crafting grid, we can just do. We don't really have to attach another machine to it. So let's just do, yeah, quartz enriched iron. That's one we're going to be using a lot. Those frames that we kept having to make, these machine casing frames, yeah, let's teach it that recipe as well. There we go. What else can we give it? How about those cores, these construction cores? That seems annoying to remember how to do. Let's teach it that. And the destruction core, while we're at it, let's teach it this one as well. All right, so now we have 4 patterns. We can then take those and put those into a crafter. So let's set our crafter, let's do it down here. This is going to be the crafter. And that crafter, we are going to put these patterns into. Now, when you hold shift on them, you can see what they turn into, which makes it really, really nice. And now it can automatically create those in my network. So if I come back over here and I request myself, say, any of these items, I can click the craft button and it'll just make more of them. So let's make myself a machine casing. Start. There we go. It made a machine casing instantly. Destruction core. Let's make one of those. Instantly. Great. Construction core. Done. So now we can just make those items as much as we want. That is a great, great tool for us. Now, this gets even more interesting when you want to make crafters to do things like make things that need to be in a furnace, for instance. This is a much more fascinating way to go about this. So let's go ahead and maybe, I was going to say let's make ourselves an energized smelter, but that requires techium. I think a redstone furnace does not require techium. So there we go. And note that we are back to using our old crafting system. We are not using the new crafting system because most of these items are not in the new crafting system yet. So redstone furnace, what else are we missing for that? Only the frame. So let's make a machine frame. Well, and there we go again. Making a mess of everything. We are going to make a machine frame. There we go. And then we can use that. Do you really have too much electrum? We have too many electrum gears. That is a good problem to have, friends. All right, and there is our redstone furnace. Okay, so let's come back over here. And off of this same network that we've got, let's put a crafter, and we want this to face out again, just like that. We are going to put the redstone furnace on the back of that, or on the front of that, I should say. And let's put some power into that thing. Let's grab our universal cables, stick it there. And then last but not least, we're going to take our importer and we're going to put this on the bottom, just like that. All right, so this is the basic configuration. Now, we need to tell a redstone furnace what it should be expecting. It should be expecting to input from the back, and it should be expecting to output from the bottom. And it's going to auto import and output. So now we can teach the crafter a pattern that involves the redstone furnace. So let's do that. Let's come over here and make ourselves one more pattern. Actually, you know what? The pattern is probably a thing we should make a pattern of. So let's do that first. So let's teach it how to make a pattern. Great. The pattern is made with a pattern. Perfect. And now with our other pattern, we are going to teach it how to make our silicon. So let's teach it not that recipe. Let's teach it this recipe. We're using the processing recipe, so make sure that is checked. Let's take our empty pattern, that's this one, and teach it this. This is now making silicon in that pattern. So let's come back over here. And into the crafter on top, we're going to put the processing recipe. In the crafter on bottom, we put the regular recipe for the pattern for pattern. Pattern for pattern, yes. Now, if we come over here, let's grab all of our silicon back out. All of it, every bit of it. There. And now let's craft ourselves up some silicon. Let's do 32 silicon, and that's just going to get started. So, slowly but surely, this is going to smelt that down. It's going to take a little while, but it's going to suck it back out. And then you'll see here that those are slowly going to show up into the system. Now, we can make an upgrade to that machine, or a couple, I would say. So let's go to thermal, and let's make whatever our easiest available upgrades to make are. Yeah, reinforced is easy enough for us to make, and I don't think we can make well, we can make resonant, but it's expensive. Yeah, we don't have any of the things that we need to make resonant. So we will make that, and then we're also going to put in the linkage amplifier, the increasing processing speed, that one, yeah. So we want 3 of those. Perfect. Now let's come back over here to our furnace and let's go ahead and upgrade that. We're going to put in all of these upgrades, and now this is going to go real quick. It's also going to use a lot of power, but it's going to go real quick. So now this knows that it needs to make all of that stuff. Now, if we really want to, we can do a crafting monitor, I believe. Crafting grid, crafting manager. Monitor? Manager? I don't know which of these it is. So the crafting monitor is the one that will show us what's going on in our system at any given time. And it looks for that we need to, I thought we could automatically make it make all of the things we are missing here. Maybe we need to craft these this way? I thought it would just do it, but I guess it isn't just doing it. And improved processors. Do we not have any of those left? I guess we don't. We need to make those manually, or we can teach it the recipe. Actually, teaching it the recipe might be the best way to do this. So let's go ahead and teach this recipe real quick. And for that, we need to get gold and binder. So let's get our gold here, 4, and our binder, which is over... Oh, we already put our binder in the system, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Okay. So let's drop our gold in. Now, the processing binder is interesting because this, I finally started to making it manually with slime balls and string. We don't have any of that automated though. We have to do that manually. Slime balls I'm actually making from vines because I don't have a source of slimes or actual just slime balls, quite frankly. And the vines we're actually using we're getting off of a jungle tree over here. So we have another of our tree absorbers and that's making my vines for me. So all of those are going in and making vines instead of just getting vines on the internet, which you can't do anymore because that website shut down. That's for those of you who are old enough to remember vines. But vines, of course, we cannot automatically make unless we put it into another machine to make those. But anyways, that's a whole other thing we're not going to get into. Maybe later we'll automate those. But for now, we are going to take our processor binding, excuse me, and make ourselves a bunch more patterns. Why not? Let's make 10 patterns this time. There we go. There is our 10 patterns. And using our 10 patterns, we are going to start teaching it all of the rest of these various ingredients. So we need to teach it how to make this first, a raw improved processor. So let's teach it that pattern. One of those. And then we want to teach it how to make the thing that smelts into. So like so, we can take another pattern and teach that there. Great. So again, we can repeat the same process. On top, we put the ingredient that gets smelted into. The output is a smelted ingredient. And the raw ingredient goes on the bottom. So now when we come over here, we can just go ahead and say, go ahead and craft this. I just want this. And you know what? I want 4 of those. Just do the thing, figure it out, make it work. And you can see there it goes. It figured it out and it made it work. Perfect. That is wonderful. So back to the item at hand. So now that we taught it that, we can make our crafting monitor. Perfect. Now we have a crafting monitor. Let's go ahead and put this on here. We're going to connect it up with cables. Does it need cables? Yeah, it needs cables. We can put the cables. Actually, it is attached. So I think since it's attached physically, we don't need cables for it. I'm going to go back and validate that later, but if we go ahead and tell it to say, what's something easy we can craft? Let's take all of this out. And let's tell it to make 64 of these, the iron. Start that. Yeah, there we go. It doesn't need to be attached by cables. It's just going to do its thing. And we can see it's slowly making all of the stuff. Perfect. And now we have a bunch more of that. All right, so in between episodes, I might go through here and automate a bunch of our other patterns of things that we are making regularly, and certainly a bunch of these items that we are having to bulk create manually as well into this system so that we don't really have to worry about that anymore. I don't know I'm going to finish automating the entire massive machine system that we have going behind us in that row that we'd set up, but I might go ahead and automate it so that a few of those things it knows how to make. So our gears, our sheet metal, all of those sorts of things I could pull off, and instead of having one machine per type of ingredient, so one for iron sheet metal, one for copper sheet metal, one for uranium sheet metal. Instead of having a separate machine for each ingredient type, I could have one machine and it'll handle all of the types, or at least 8 of the types. So maybe I'll set up a little bit of that between episodes, but I'm not going to redo all of it today. But I think this is a great stopping point. We have a automated storage system set up, and I can start bulk creating all of these wonderful items as we move through the pack. So thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends.